and beyond. It's the weekend edition of the RCWR show, and it begins right now.
The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive, covering the latest in wrestling and beyond. You're listening to the RCWR show with your host, Lee Sanders.
Welcoming you to the weekend edition of the RCWR show on Saturday, April 27th, 2013. Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders here. Thank you all so much for checking out this episode. I hope your weekend is off to a great start. I know if you are an NBA fan, most importantly a Lakers fan, you probably saw that game that was on earlier this morning, and you are probably just yanking out your hair in disbelief that your beloved Lakers are just one game away from being swept in the first round of the NBA playoffs. I know, I cannot believe it myself, and I have been a long-time Lakers fan. I'll chime in a little bit more about that and what all's been happening in the NBA playoffs in the later part of the show. But for now, let's go on ahead and let's rewind it back to key moments that you might have missed from a week in wrestling. Let's rewind it back to this past week's WWE Raw, where the Phenom, the Dead Man, the Last Outlaw, the Undertaker, had made his in-ring return to Raw, first time now in over 3 years, as he teamed up with younger brother Kane and Goatface himself, Daniel Bryan Danielson, to take on the Shield's Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns in a six-man tag match. Nobody does it better than the Shield, and you best to be prepared, because this is not going to be the first time that we are going to be talking about the Shield on this broadcast today. Damn good six-man tag match. We actually ended up seeing the team of the Shield continue their impressive undefeated streak as they picked up the win over those big three. Damn good match of the night. So damn good that it was one of the main highlights on all the WWE programming this week. Mad shout out to those of you that love the Shield's Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. You'll be very proud to hear that Triple H was recently quoted on Twitter saying that he loves the Shield and that the three of those guys are the biggest thing that is happening for the company right there. There's your endorsement. Doesn't get any bigger than the game himself, Triple H. Speaking of the game himself, Triple H did make an appearance at this week's WWE Raw from the O2 London Arena in London, England, to officially accept the challenge put out by Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman to take on Lesnar one more time in an old-school steel cage match at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view coming up in 3 weeks. We had asked some of you all to chime your thoughts on a Brock Lesnar Triple H 3 match. Now that it's kind of set in a little bit, as myself and co-host Diamond K, we went in depth and talked about it a little bit more on this past Tuesday night's episode of the RCWR show. This truly has the greatest potential to outdo the last two matches that we've seen these men in. And really, I'm putting all the marbles in. I'm putting all the chips in, and I'm banking that this is going to be a match that fans are going to be talking about. First two have just really not really been anything worth really talking about. I think the fact that Triple H had got second-degree burns in his match against Lesnar at this year's WrestleMania, and Brock Lesnar had actually took a concussion, is what really had made the headlines for that WrestleMania match. Not necessarily the match in general, just those key moments right there that kind of had fans talking in retrospect. But this steel cage match, it definitely has a lot of potential to really deliver and just outshine the last two outings that these men have done. Of course, only time will tell, and most importantly, how will the booking go down for this match? That's the most important thing. We also saw a heel Ryback get in the face of new WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley, as Ryback showing the heel-like colors, telling Mick Foley to shut up and calling the WWE fans stupid, as it looked as if he was going to be giving a beating to the hardcore legend when John Cena would come to the rescue. And remember, it was just last week, folks, where we saw Ryback abandon John Cena, as we saw the Shields, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns proceed to give Cena a beatdown. Well, this go round, we saw an appearance by the Shield, as John Cena saw exactly where they were, did not want to have anything to do with them this time around, went up towards the ramp area as Shield members looked on, wondering if Cena was going to get involved. Once they got the confirmation that he wasn't, they proceeded to go in the ring and give Ryback a beatdown. But John Cena would not leave Ryback hanging, despite what Ryback had did to him last week in abandoning him to the flock of the Shield. Cena would come back into the ring, steel chair in hand, and he would eliminate the Shield members, as we saw a very heated standoff between the C-Nation leader and Mr. Feed Me More himself. And this would end in true fashion as John Cena delivered the double AA, the attitude adjustment, to leave Ryback on his back, seeing the ceiling of that O2 Arena. And it was on after that. As you know, these guys are going to be getting it on for the WWE title at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. I definitely welcome you guys to take a moment after this show that you're listening to rewind it back to this past Tuesday night on the RCWR show, where myself and Diamond K, we went in depth about this sudden heel turn in Ryback, and I gave some very valid points, one of them being why I think that if WWE isn't careful, this could be a very huge mistake that they're doing with Ryback, as it's just really coming off as if this heel turn is happening way too fast, just when Ryback was starting to sell a ton of merchandise as a babyface. This guy, at the rate that he was going, he could have damn near gave John Cena a run for his money. But now that they've done this, great concern I have, as if they do not do their cards right, they could forever be lost with Ryback, and they could thus put him in a position where he could be lost in the shuffle if not careful. Rewinding back to this past Tuesday night on the RCWR show was a really great in-depth discussion. And you can also catch other in-depth talk about what all you had missed from this past Monday night's WWE Raw. Overall, though, damn decent WWE Raw, where despite the fact that we didn't get bombarded with Twitters, with tout videos, what people were saying on Facebook, WWE film plugs, things of that nature, fans had to just take a major crap on Raw. Many went viral and said that Raw was just a bad episode, that it was nothing without CM Punk. Heck, I even saw one guy on YouTube that said he was gonna probably stop reviewing WWE Raw because there's no CM Punk. John Cena's the champion now. There's no point in watching. I wasn't even looking for the clip. I was just looking for some WWE matches. And you know how it is on YouTube, folks. They suggest stuff to you, and I just saw the thumbnail, and I thought it was kind of interesting. I went and I gave it a read, and next thing you know, I was just kicking back, laughing my ass off. You know, this is the type of business when it comes to wrestling, or just in general. You're not always going to please everybody. I've had to learn that the hard way over the years. You would think that with me, as long as I've been doing radio that, I have a thick skin when it comes to dealing with knuckleheads. Well, from time to time, I have actually dealt with a few people that have just rubbed my skin the wrong way, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. I mean, we try to be one of those type of shows where we try to be very friendly with everybody. We try to be very interactive, and we try to get along with everybody. But, we got some knuckleheads that just like being a dick and giving folks a hard time and things of that nature. And, you could sit up and you could do a cool kick-ass contest and give folks an opportunity to win some prizes. It turns out you're always going to have that one person that's going to be jealous or that's going to be upset or is going to try to nitpick and look for something bad to say. And, that's just in general, that's just the type of people that I find, that you're going to deal with. The important thing that you have to do is just kind of disregard what they're saying and just think about your own personal experience, as in the end, that's what really counts the most, is your opinion and how you feel about a particular product or just in general. What's your outlook? And, I just couldn't help but think about this guy's video that I had saw, and then just what everybody was saying on Twitter and Facebook about how this Raw had just was really one of the worst episodes that they've watched this year. And I'm sorry, I would not go that far as to say that it was one of the worst episodes of the year. Are we missing CM Punk? Yes, no doubt. But at the same time, I'm thinking from that business standpoint, as much as it would be cool to see CM Punk be part of the WWE product right now, I care more about the man being healthy, coming back 100% better than ever, and continuing to be one of the key points for WWE Raw, SmackDown, main event, whatever WWE programming. I want him at his very best. I do not want a 75% CM Punk, because at that point he is just flirting with major injury, and then the next thing you know, he's going to be out for a year, year and a half, some crazy stuff like that. And I just don't want that to happen for the voice of the voiceless Mr. CM Punk. So for those of you that keep bitching and complaining about, the product sucks right now because there's no CM Punk, for those of you complaining about John Cena holding the WWE title again, notice that WWE, they really haven't been going to Cena like that. He's pretty much just been cutting promos. He really hasn't been seeing that much in-ring action, although that's going to be changing on next Monday night's Raw, as he and Ryback will be teaming up in a handicap match to take on all three members of the Shield. So now the question is put out there, can the two men get on the same page to take on a serious threat known as the Shield? That's the million-dollar question. But, I mean, we got just an injection of new talent right now that has just been doing a damn good job. And, quite honestly, I'm a little bit surprised that some people are sitting up talking about Raw is crap right now or things of that nature, because you would think that, and this is the way that I'm looking at it, and this is a good suggestion that I would put out there to those of you. This is the challenge I give to you guys. Instead of you guys complaining about a John Cena or a CM Punk and things of that nature, you should be kicking back and saying to yourselves, okay, you know what? Now WrestleMania has come and gone. Now we're in a position where we can see what the roster is really capable of without a Triple H, without a Brock Lesnar, without an Undertaker, without a Chris Jericho, if I haven't already mentioned him, without a Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Now we get to see what the younger roster can do. Now with the absence of CM Punk, who's probably just going to be out for maybe a couple of months, As originally it was reported he was going to be out for about maybe 6 months. Now we're kind of getting word that maybe he might be back in just under 3 months. Not really sure what to believe right now, but take it on a day-to-day basis. Anything can happen in the WWE. You know that. But keeping all that in mind, it's definitely created an opportunity for younger talent to step up to the roster. And, I mean, we've got guys like Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, The Shield. They're stepping up in a big way. Dolph Ziggler has finally stepped up. He's the new World Heavyweight Champion. Jack Swagger, despite his legal problems outside of the WWE, he still holds a pretty comfortable spot in the company. Big E Langston is doing his thing. Fandango has become an overnight sensation. Ryback continues to get better as an in-ring competitor slash as a talker on the mic, as he's been doing some pretty good solid work that's just been impressing and surprising me almost every single time I get to see this guy. I mean, it's really a good time in the WWE right now. Even the Divas division is kind of starting to step it up just a little bit. If I were to point out one or two problems that the WWE is having right now, it would be I would love to see them kind of do something with Santino Marella. I would like to see them maybe try to do some type of a serious approach with him because he's a phenomenal wrestler. I think if you're going to go the comedic route, then you make it count where it counts the most and you actually give him some pretty damn good material to work with and just stop having him do his little weird power walk into the ring and doing his little silly Cobra thing and get squashed in matches in like 30 seconds. Same thing goes for Zack Ryder. That's another guy that is just phenomenal in the ring. I'm tired of seeing him end up in squash matches. I would love to see guys like Justin Gabriel step up a little bit more. I know Tyson Kidd is currently out on injury. I know he recently did a WWE hangout a couple of days ago in the week. I don't know if that's maybe an early indication that he's kind of close to coming back or what have you, but I would love to see him get the opportunity to really step it up upon returning. Wade Barrett, he seems to be getting back on the path of good. I mean, there's really a lot of good things that's happening in WWE right now. They just got a couple of things that they need to work on to just make the overall experience of the product be good on particular shows. And in regards to Raw, as that's a 3-hour block that they're trying to engage fans in and keep their attention. 3 hours is asking a lot. First hour, hey, no problem. Second hour, hey, no problem. But the third hour can be very dragging at times. And, honestly, I'm going to go on record. I said it on Tuesday night. I'll say it again. What we saw this past Monday night, when you cut away the tout videos, the Twitter mentions, the Facebooks, the WWE film plugs, all that little silly crap, the Don't Be a Bully, Be a Star campaign, WWE Week in this county or whatever, when you cut all of that, what we had got this past Monday night was just straight up, okay, here's your wrestling match. We got to take a commercial break. Okay, we're back. The action continues. Hey, this person picked up the victory. Coming up next is this match. When you have it like that pretty much for 3 hours, there's not really that much you can crap on. I thought out of a scale of 1 to 10, Raw was at least a 7. And that's the bottom line on that. We're going to go on ahead and we're going to take a very brief commercial break, but when we come right back, we'll dip into the very latest and what you might have missed from WWE Main Event as seen on the Ion channel. We'll also talk about key part of what you might have missed from TNA Impact Wrestling as seen on Spike TV and the fallout from WWE SmackDown. You know how we do it over here on the weekend edition of the RCWR show. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
For news you can use, like us on Facebook during this commercial break at Infinity One Productions.
Weekend edition of the RCWR show is back. Black Avenger Lee Sanders here. So, we now go to the WWE main event report, where this past Wednesday on main event, we saw the one and only Mark Henry in a gauntlet match. Now, this was somewhat inadvertently set up by the wrestling god himself, JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, as he told Mark Henry, the Black Silverback, that he was very impressed with what all he's seen Mark Henry do to Sheamus in the past couple of weeks. And, well, JBL, he kind of was not really paying attention to the way he was using certain words, which kind of set off Mark Henry, who thought maybe he needed to set an example of just how good he is and what he's good at doing that, because that's what he do. And JBL proposed that he should make history, which is take on not one man, not two men, not three men, but four men. Now you're thinking to yourself, wow, Mark Henry versus four guys? All at the same time? No, it wasn't that kind of match. It would be a gauntlet match. And Mark Henry, he accepted the challenge, told the WWE locker room, hey, anybody that thinks they can come out, take me on, have at it, let's go. And we ended up seeing Jimmy Uso try to take on that challenge. He got squashed. Then his brother Jey Uso tried to follow up behind him. That was of no avail, as Mark Henry squashed him as well. We were just talking about Santino in the last segment. He came out with his little slapstick comedy routine. He got squashed. Finally, it was down to the one and only, the Punjabi Nightmare, or nowadays as he's being called, the Punjabi Playboy, the Great Khali. Well, why they just keep making Mark Henry be somewhat intimidated by Great Khali, I don't know. I don't care. I don't like Great Khali, but just putting that to the side, Great Khali, he would end up making Mark Henry tuck his tail in between his legs and accept a countout, as the action was just getting too much for him. Mark Henry settling for a countout as Great Khali picked up the victory. That was pretty much main event for that night. They were hyping up the Shield's victory over Undertaker, Kane, Daniel Bryan, also showing footage of what had went down with John Cena, Ryback, Mick Foley, but I was very pleased with main event. It's hard to believe that daggone thing is nothing more than an hour long. It just goes by so damn fast. Love it. Let's talk about what had went down from Impact Wrestling this past Thursday night, as seen on Spike TV. I just want to talk about key points from that show. And in case you missed it, the one and only Hail Sabin, Chris Sabin is going to be returning on next week's Impact Wrestling. That's right, after two, count them, two torn ACLs. Who could not forget when Chris Sabin had came back from the first one, and then he immediately injured his second ACL. Guy had been out for 24 months rehabbing. He's finally back next week. Damn excited. Trust me, we're going to do our very best to try to see if Chris Sabin could grant us an interview, or at least maybe do a little Q&A, something he could send to us, his answers, if we give him the questions that we could read to you guys. Would be some pretty awesome stuff. But I'm pumped up. I can't wait to see this guy come back. And it looks like the video vignettes that they're showing of him, looks like they're making it be a pretty damn big deal. And just some of the footage that they've shown of him, he looks to be in the best shape of his life right now in his whole freaking career. Can't wait to see this guy in action. Now, for those of you that had went to Impact Wrestling Live this past Thursday night, you guys actually got to see Chris Sabin in action because immediately after Impact Wrestling had went off the air on Spike TV, TNA cameras continued to roll as they were filming a second episode of Impact Wrestling, which we will not see until this Thursday, May 2nd, just a day before the release of Iron Man 3 in theaters. And we're already kind of getting a little bit of buzz about that episode of Impact. Hey, we're not giving any spoiler alerts right here, but just to tease you guys, Chris Sabin did see in-ring action, so the wait is worth it. Do whatever you got to do to dodge those spoilers so that you're able to enjoy the moment. But on top of that, we had also saw Bully Ray teasing Hulk Hogan all throughout the night, wanting him to accept the challenge to meet him in the ring face to face after taking out all of Hulk Hogan's beloved top baby faces, Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe, Joseph Park, James Storm, Eric Young. Bully Ray pretty much is ready to sink his teeth into the big dog known as Hulk Hogan. Well, Hulk Hogan, he would give exception to it. He would embrace his destiny, knowing that the outcome could be very grim. And he did meet Bully Ray in the ring face to face. And in true like Hulkamania fashion, as he was sporting his trademark colors of old, he ripped the red shirt and was just ready to get it on as he had bandaged fists taped up. When all of a sudden, other Aces and Eights members, they surrounded the ring and looked as if Hulk Hogan was about to get the worst beating of his life. When suddenly, the lights went out. Darkness for about 7 seconds. But when resumed, we saw the one and only Sting, silent with bat in hand, pointing it at the chest of the Hulkster as the Hulkster is backed up into a turnbuckle. But then Sting turns his attention to Bully Ray, points the bat at him. Bully Ray, realizing exactly what's going on, he didn't want any part of it as Aces and Eights members tried to come to Bully's aid. And from there, the Hulkster and Sting, they just cleaned house on Aces and Eights. And just when it seemed like Sting and Hogan were reunited and it feels so good, it was not the case as Sting pointed that bat to the chest of Hogan again, not uttering a word as Hogan looked on stunned as Sting exit the ring. No doubt Sting, Hogan, they're going to have a little bit of a few words on next week's Impact Wrestling. But Sting returned, and he came at a damn good time as he literally had saved Hulk Hogan's ass big time. Good moment right there as the gears just continue to just go in motion of this newest development in the Aces and Eights storyline. You know, was taking a look at the Impact Wrestling ratings for this past Thursday's episode. And, you know, it was quite damn good timing that we had Hulk Hogan and Sting play a huge part in that episode of Impact Wrestling. Some people, they might have been a little bit annoyed seeing them, let alone close out the show. But it looks like, at least for this past Thursday, they needed that type of help, because without their help, this episode of Impact Wrestling, ratings-wise, no doubt it would have become one of the lowest rated episodes of the entire year. It had respectively pulled in an overall cable rating of 0.98. And this is now the third week in a row, in case you're keeping track, that Impact Wrestling hasn't been able to break that 1.00 mark. So, hey, hopefully things will start to pick up soon, at least with next week, with Chris Sabin coming back and all that. But, you know, I think the real question, the million-dollar question, and we're going to answer it on next Thursday's Impact Showdown Live, which is just who exactly could step up to take on the Aces and Eights. We saw a little bit of a tease from Bad Influences, Kazarian and Daniels, as they want to try to reform Fortune. Not really sure if they're going to be truly successful at that, but it does put a very valid question out there. Is there any stable that could truly take form to take on and defeat the stable of Aces and Eights? You want to make sure you join me and Diamond K for Impact Showdown Radio next Thursday night. We will do our best to answer that question, which brings me to a very special announcement in case you did not catch it on our website yet. You know, we had been trying to do Impact Showdown Radio on Blog Talk Radio past couple of weeks now. Again, we had met server issue problems to the point where Blog Talk Radio has strongly advised that Blog Talk Radio hosts reschedule their shows for an entirely different day. And there was a couple of periods there where I actually was kind of feeling a bit under the weather, so there actually was no show. And, we had the mix-up technical difficulties with Blog Talk just one too many times. And I was very frustrated as the latest one had came this past Thursday night. And I wasn't able to get a hold of Diamond K in time to let him know that I was going to be doing Impact Showdown Live on YouTube. And I was a one-man band, but, you guys, you had showed your appreciation for it. Those of you that had gave it the thumbs up, hey, we appreciate that. Those of you that took the time to comment, we appreciate that. And it's been picking up a decent amount of views to the point where from now on, we are going to be doing Impact Showdown Live. You'll be able to see me and Diamond K in the flesh. We'll be covering the fallout from TNA Impact Wrestling immediately after it goes off the air. You can interact with us, share your comments. If you want to be able to join in on the special broadcast, feel free to hit us up on Twitter at Infinity1Prod and also at our new Twitter handle at the RCWR Show. And we'll definitely make it be our business, try to set it up and see if we can get you included in the broadcast. But from here on out, Impact Showdown Live will be on YouTube. We will still try to do our best to simulcast for our Blog Talk Radio listeners, but bearing in mind that they're always having server issues on that site, YouTube is definitely the place that you want to be for new episodes of Impact Showdown. And hey, what better way to kick things off than with a very special guest that's going to be dropping by the show. He has been making waves in the independent wrestling circuit, and he recently had participated in the new revitalized TNA Gut Check voting contest. We know they brought back the whole polling thing, doing the brackets. It's the one and only, the Omaha Chainsaw, SM King. He's going to be joining yours truly and Diamond K for an exclusive interview. Talk about his upbringings in wrestling. Also talk about everything wrestling. We're just going all over the damn place on that damn show. So make sure you check it out. It's going to be pretty solid. You'll be able to catch it this coming Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern live on YouTube. Make sure that you are there. If you aren't able to catch it, have no fear. You'll be able to catch the episode for your downloading pleasure in the iTunes Stitcher marketplaces. Just use the keywords, the RCWR Show. For more fallout from what you might have missed from this past Thursday night's Impact Wrestling on Spike, highly encourage you to hop on over to our YouTube channel over at the RCWR Show and check out the inaugural episode of Impact Showdown Live. All right, we're going to take a very brief commercial break, but when we come right back, it's my favorite part of the weekend edition. We're going to cover the fallout from what you might have missed from SmackDown, Friday Night SmackDown, as JBL likes to say, where everybody loves to fight. We'll also dive into the latest wrestling headlines and beyond. You're checking out the weekend edition of the RCWR Show. We will be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
If you enjoyed our coverage, be sure to check us out every Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com/The RCWR Show for all the latest in wrestling news and beyond.
Weekend edition of the RCWR Show is back. Hey, when you get a free moment, check out our website over at InfinityOneProductions.com for a little bit of news that you can use. And hey, did we mention that we have RCWR Show t-shirts available? Yeah, that's right. So go buy them now. Sizes available in small, medium, large, X large, heck, 2XL. If you need something a little bigger than that, just shoot us up an email and we'll be more than happy to hook you up. And shipping is free. Doesn't matter what size shirt you get, shipping is free. So have at it. Great for if you've been a long-time fan of the show or if you're a new fan and you've just been enjoying all the great content that we've been putting out and you want to represent us. Hey, you can represent in style now. And all profits that are made from the t-shirt sales is going to be going back into the radio show to help continue to keep it on the air and also go towards special contests that we'll be throwing from time to time for our loyal listeners. All about giving back. So have at it, and thank you so much in advance for your t-shirt orders. And on that note, let's go on ahead and let's talk about the fallout from Friday Night SmackDown. Key points, we saw Jack Swagger take on Alberto Del Rio in a no disqualification match. Jack Swagger had got a little bit of retribution on Alberto Del Rio. This was a damn good and brutal matchup between these two guys. I mean, especially towards the end of the match, I loved how we saw Alberto Del Rio. He had the cross arm breaker on, and Jack Swagger, he looked as if he was about to tap out, but luckily Zeb Coulter, he had passed him that kendo stick, and he just started whacking the head of Del Rio to loosen up that cross arm breaker grip, and then Swagger just started going to the body of Del Rio. I was loving it when he was just hitting him with that kendo stick. Then he followed it up with his Swagger power bomb, whatever the hell that move is that he likes to do from time to time. I haven't seen him do it in a while, so that's why I can't remember it off the break. And then he followed it up with the steel ladder. That was just beautiful as Jack Swagger had picked up the victory. I enjoyed that more than their WrestleMania match. Now, don't get me wrong, their WrestleMania match, it was a little bit more on the technical side. It was good. And then what they had did, what was that, the night after WrestleMania, that was okay too. But man, what they had did on Friday Night SmackDown, that, magnifico, okay? Other key highlight that we had saw from SmackDown, it was Undertaker returning to the blue brand. First time in 3 years for in-ring action, folks, as he took on Dean Ambrose of The Shield. And this was one of those moments where if you were a Shield fan, if you did not have your DVR set, you had missed a taste of owning wrestling history. As Dean Ambrose was really, really showing a strong outing with the Phenom. I mean, I was just loving it. I mean, Ambrose, what can I say about this guy? This guy, he just proves to me in my mind why he needs to be one of the next main event stars. He just has all the right ingredients. He has all the greatest potential in the world to surpass a Daniel Bryan, to surpass a CM Punk, to surpass a Chris Jericho. The guy is just truly fucking phenomenal. And yes, I know I put a curse word out there. I don't care. Hey, I just got to speak the truth, and I just love Dean Ambrose. And that comes despite the fact that Undertaker had made Dean Ambrose tap out. But, as I was looking at this match go down, I just said to myself, okay, you know what? There's just no way Undertaker is going to get destroyed in the same week, right? Well, then again, it can happen if they do it right. And I'm saying to myself, yeah, maybe we can see Undertaker pick up a win on Ambrose, but it's going to be the Shield that's going to have the last laugh. And I was just playing out how the Shield would rebound, and they did it exactly how I thought they were going to do it. Dean Ambrose taps out, match is over, Undertaker gets the win, but he's not able to celebrate as like Wolverines. The daggone Shield, they just attack him. Undertaker, hey, legendary wrestler as he is, he's fighting all three of these guys. Those of you wondering where's Kane, where's Daniel Bryan, they're actually part of the Raw tour, so they were not at that SmackDown event for that night. As Undertaker, he was doing his best, but man, he was just no match for Roman Reigns, who just came out of nowhere with a spear that had sent Undertaker through the wall barrier, as the action did go outside the ring at one point. And from there, Shield members, they delivered their trademark triple power bomb as they sent Undertaker crashing through the announcer's table. And it kind of has you wondering, as well as many in the wrestling community wondering, when are we going to see Undertaker again? Does he have a few more televised matches in him? I think this was just something for the London crowd. I know he just came off of some recent surgery a couple of weeks back going into his match at WrestleMania, 48 years old. I just kind of got the impression that with London, that's pretty much it. Undertaker's probably going to chill for a little bit. If we do get Undertaker again, I'd be in euphoria, quite honestly, if we got to see him again. But I think he just needs to sit this out. I'm just thinking from that booking standpoint, I just think it would just make much more sense to have the Shield come out on Monday Night Raw, talk about how they destroyed Undertaker on SmackDown, and they destroyed him to the point where there's just no telling when Undertaker is going to be coming back. I think that's just a good exit for the Undertaker for now, so that all the focus can be put back on Kane and Daniel Bryan, as no doubt the program that we're going to be seeing eventually, which should go down at Extreme Rules, should be Kane and Daniel Bryan defending those tag titles against him. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now, and I have a feeling that the boiling point will be reached at Extreme Rules to make the announcement of that match official. So look out for that on this coming Monday Night Raw. But I was loving SmackDown from this past Friday night. Just another reason why you should be tuning into Friday Night SmackDown. The Shield really stepped up, which actually brings me to a certain part of our show. We haven't done it in a long time, but usually we do our weekend Superstar of the Week, where we recognize somebody, not necessarily in the wrestling business, but it could just be entertainment in general. And this is a first for us, because normally, while we try to recognize somebody individually, collectively, and I think you see where I'm going with this, folks, we got to give it up to the Shield. It is a trio. I'm just looking at them as one unit. They deserve the Weekend Superstar Award for this week. You just look at the phenomenal six-man tag match that they had on SmackDown, and then you follow that up with Dean Ambrose going one-on-one with the Phenom, The Undertaker. Showed exactly why he deserves to be in the ring with one of the biggest dogs to ever lace up a pair of boots in the WWE. And then to have the Shield gang up on The Undertaker at the end. Shield just continues to be on a roll. That combined with the recent seal of approval by the Vice President of Talent and Live Events, Triple H. Oh my God, these guys are set for WWE for a long, long time. So my hat's off to the Shield, who gets the Weekend Superstar Award of the Week. And that's going to do it, folks. All right, so we're going to now dive into a little bit of wrestling headlines. And it's been pretty much a quiet week. Not really too much has been going on since last we were on the air with you guys. Of course, one of the big things that continues to play out is what's going on with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who had underwent successful tendon surgery to repair the torn abdominal muscles that he had accumulated in his WrestleMania match against John Cena a couple of weeks back. Pain and Gain, you know the movie I'm talking about with Michael Bay. He recently had made a statement and basically said that The Rock, he should think about stop wrestling 300-pound men and just stick to making movies. Of course, he was just trying to put a joke out there because, lo and behold, the wrestling universe takes a big old crap on Michael Bay. That's the last thing that he wants. But, that's been the million-dollar question that's been on a lot of people's minds is what's going on with The Rock, star of Pain and Gain. And you know it was going to come to me eventually. And, certain people, they chimed in their thoughts on it. I know Mick Foley, he had recently chimed in his thoughts on the matter as he recently had told Bang Showbiz via ContractMusic.com that he believes The Rock should continue to wrestle. Direct quote right here. Look, in WWE, you can take the stars of the past as long as they stay in great shape. Like The Rock, they can't take on the stars of the present and create those dream matches in any way that you can really have in any other sports or other forms of entertainment. And I do agree with that, but at the same time, with all due respect to Mick Foley, I got to think about these movie projects that have invested a lot of time, financial resources in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and they're expecting to deliver certain projects on time, no doubt. The fact that MGM/Paramount, they had to put the new Hercules movies on hold because Rock was dealing with this nagging injury, which culminated in him getting surgery. They got a budget that they have to stick to and a deadline. And, time is very precious, and I'm quite sure that that's part of the equation for The Rock. And if you had listened to the RCWR show this past Tuesday night, we played an exclusive clip for you guys that had The Rock talk about his injury and if it was it for him. And his goal was to go in, do 3 WrestleManias, each one being big, culminating in one of the biggest spectacles of them all. And, he was thinking about doing something with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30. Something was supposed to go down the night after WrestleMania 29 involving him and Lesnar to kind of set off eventually their match for WrestleMania 30. But with the injury, that put a monkey wrench into things. It could probably still happen. But The Rock is in a place right now where he may not come back. And quite honestly, I said it once before, I'll say it again. If this is it for The Rock, then you know what? More power to him. I'm glad that he gave us new memories to talk about. And honestly, hey, let's see what the new generation of WWE stars can do. Got some Ring of Honor wrestling news for you. Looks like this week's episode of Ring of Honor Wrestling TV featured the Border Wars title match contract signing between Adam Cole and Jay Briscoe and Steve Cornio, as there was an issue of an open challenge to anyone looking to challenge Scum in a 6-man tag match. Meanwhile, Ring of Honor officials have announced that due to Nomachi Mafuki's new injury, Paul London will be taking his place as he'll be taking on Davey Richards at Border Wars. So, for those of you keeping track, here is your updated card for Border Wars. For the Ring of Honor World Championship, Jay Briscoe will be taking on Adam Cole. For the Ring of Honor World Television Championship, Matt Tavern with Truth Martini will be taking on Mark Briscoe. GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion Tajiri Ishimori will be taking on Eddie Edwards. Jay Lethal and Michael Elgin will be taking on two members of Scum. And remember, there's that stipulation where if Honor wins, then Corneo leaves Ring of Honor forever. However, if Scum wins, then they get a Ring of Honor world title shot, and Corneo gets to join the commentary team. BJ Whitmer will take on Rhett Titus in an I Quit match. We just mentioned Paul London will be taking on Davey Richards. ACH and Tardius Thomas will be taking on Caprice Coleman and Cedric Alexander. Also, on May 18th in Richmond, Virginia, BJ Whitmore will challenge the Ring of Honor World Championship against either Adam Cole or Jay Briscoe. Of course, for all the latest on Ring of Honor wrestling news, I highly encourage you to go to ROHWrestling.com. Once again, that's ROHWrestling.com. Recently, Kurt Angle had sat down for an interview on 105.9 The X in Pittsburgh, and of the things that was talked about was if it should be him battling the aces and eights. And here's some interesting words right here, direct quote right here. I have had talks with Creative, and we've been going back and forth. I've been the stable of the company for the past 5 years until I'd probably say last year. I believe they've been trying to use the younger talent. I love Terry, Hulk Hogan, but it is about bringing up the younger talent, and the way to do it is by having them wrestle veterans like myself in the main event. So hopefully in the future they'll start doing that more often. He also talked about how TNA has benefited from taking Impact on the road. Direct quote, well, Impact needed to do it to take the next step and become a bigger company. We needed a fresh crowd. We needed a different crowd every week. Going down to Orlando at Universal Studios got stale. You only had about 1,000 people in the studio, usually the same people. Sometimes you had people from the UK that came, or South America. But all in all, it became very stale, and it was really hard to get motivated down there. Now, going to these new venues and bigger cities and traveling abroad like WWE does, we found a lot of success in the last few TVs that we've had. He also had talked about his health. He says that he's in great shape right now. He's 100% healthy. He feels great, looks better than ever. He talked about the stint that he tried out in the Olympics. He also talked about how much longer he wants to wrestle. It's a really great read. I highly encourage you to check it out at our website over at InfinityOneProductions.com when you get a free moment. And WWE, they had recently announced this week that WrestleMania 29 set a record as the highest grossing event in company history, earning a whopping $72 million. This is up from the $67 million that was grossed by WrestleMania 28 last year. Congrats to WWE for that huge milestone. And I can only imagine what they are going to be doing with New Orleans, as WrestleMania 30 will be taking place there at the Mercedes-Benz Super Bowl. Ticket information will be announced later this year. All right, boys and girls, we are going to take a very brief commercial break, but when we come right back, it's my favorite part of the show. We're going to dive into the very latest in entertainment headlines. You know how we do it over here. And we're also going to talk about some NBA action. I love it when we get to talk about the NBA playoffs. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. You're checking out the weekend edition of the RCWR show. We'll be coming right back, folks.
For news you can use, like us on Facebook during this commercial break at Infinity One Productions.
Programming note, on next weekend's the RCWR show, we're going to have a kick-ass review for a couple of goodies, some that have been eluding me for quite some time. One of them is the new rock game that had came out from WWE called Rockopolis. I'll give you the 411 on that and let you know if it's worth your time checking out. We'll also go on ahead and review the new Rob Zombie album that had came out not too long ago, and we got some more goodies that we'll dive into. So make sure you join us for an all-new weekend edition of the RCWR show next Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We were just talking about Black Sabbath there. You know, they had announced a complete North American tour, and this is following the overwhelming response to their initial announcement of just 4 tour dates. Looks like they are doing a full 20-city North American tour that begins July 25th in Houston, Texas, and it will end September 3rd at Los Angeles, California, Los Angeles Sports Arena. Now, previously, the dates that were announced were Friday, May 3rd, Saturday, May 4th, Friday, May 10th, and then there was another one that was to be determined. But once again, it's going to be a 20-city tour in North America, all to support their upcoming new album, 13, that comes out on June 11th. I cannot wait to see them. Looks like the closest venue they're going to be at, where I'll have to try to see if maybe I can hitch a ride or something. Looks like they're going to be playing at the Jiffy Lube down in Bristow, Virginia. I'm going to try to see if I can pull that off and maybe get to see them. This is as close to the original band that we are going to be getting. I know we don't have Bill Ward in there, and it's unfortunate, but hey, man, the band still fucking rocks. Speaking of metal, Metallica's 3D movie, Through the Never, is set to make its debut on the IMAX screens at the end of September. That's right. It's going to be hitting the screen on September 27th, and then a week later, it's going to be opening nationwide across every single IMAX theater in North America. This is something that is just unprecedented. And Metallica, you know, they are one that like to do smart business decisions, especially if it's very profitable and gets a lot of people talking. And how can Metallica go wrong with this one? Of course, this is pretty much following up the great success that they had with the Some Kind of Monster documentary. No doubt lightning is going to strike twice for them this time around, and we'll definitely be reviewing that new Metallica movie for you guys on a future episode of the RCWR show. Speaking of movies, have you seen the new Thor trailer, Into the Void? It's going to be coming out this November, the 18th, if I'm not mistaken. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, do yourself a favor, hop on over to our Facebook page at Infinity One Productions. We show you guys a trailer of it. Give it a like while you're there. Some really great stuff. I cannot wait to see this damn movie. It looks damn good. And hey, Anthony Hopkins, Sir Anthony Hopkins at that, is coming back. And you want to make sure that you look at the last 5 seconds of the trailer, because somebody major is going to be coming back, looks like, to help Thor. You got to check that out. It's some good stuff. George Jones, best known as being the greatest voice in country music, had died on Friday at the Nashville hospital after being hospitalized last week with a fever and irregular blood pressure, said his publicist. He was 81 years old. The world has lost the greatest country singer of all time, his friend Marie Haggard said in a statement to Rolling Stone. Amen. And one of the main hits that he was known for was No Show Jones, and then he stopped loving her today. Just a ton of hits that just goes almost 5 decades, if I'm not mistaken. Truly, he will be missed, a true pioneer for country music. May he find peace in the afterlife. Mr. George Jones, dead at 81 years old, and I'm definitely a fan of country music. I know good country music when I hear it, and I've played a few George Jones songs in my time. And in other entertainment news that we have for you guys, it looks like 2 Chainz was found not guilty on marijuana charges. That's right. Now, this went down on Wednesday as there was the marijuana charges stemming from a traffic stop in Maryland back in February. The rapper, born to heed Epps, had beat the marijuana possession and possession of paraphernalia charges due to the uncertainty about who owned a marijuana grinder that was found in his vehicle. Now, the van that the MC was riding in was stopped for speeding on the way to a show at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore campus back on Valentine's Day. Now, according to the Maryland Star-Democrat, police officers smelled burning marijuana while approaching the vehicle and searched it under probable cause. The search turned up a grinder inside a gray bag inside another camouflage colored bag. The rapper told police the camouflage bag was his, but denied responsibility for the gray bag. As he was getting arrested, 2 Chainz asked his traveling crew who owned the grinder, and Harold Falsman Jr., a security guard, claimed responsibility for putting the grinder in the bag. Falsam helps pack and move 2 Chainz' luggage as part of his job. He told police that he was in a Baltimore hotel room with 2 Chainz and 2 other people when they started to get ready to leave. Falsam claimed he started grabbing items around the room and stuffing them into the camouflage bag, which then made it into the van. Falsam denied that he was the owner of the grinder and said he didn't know whose it was. He said he took responsibility because he was the one who put it there and felt accountable. Direct quote, "When I saw what it was, I knew what I did," Falsam said. 2 Chainz' attorney maintained there was no evidence that the gray bag belonged to the rapper. Talbot Kearney District Court Judge William H. Atkins III said in his verdict that he saw the case as a paraphernalia case and that 2 Chainz couldn't be found responsible for owning the grinder despite it clearly being in his bag. It belonged to somebody in that room. As for who, I don't know, Atkins said. But in a nutshell, 2 Chainz found not guilty on marijuana charges. On a personal note, did you know that this weekend is the 10th anniversary of iTunes, one of the greatest inventions that the late Steve Jobs had gave to us before his passing. One of many great innovations that he gave to us. You know, we just, really, it's something that we take for granted, iTunes. It's just mind-boggling how you're able to just kick back and how you're able to play all these hours and hours and hours of music on an application that you can just nowadays download from their servers, as you now have the iCloud. So all your music can be stored away thanks to them and not even take up space on your desktop, laptop. And you can just download them from your iPad, your iPod, your iTouch, whatever iDevice that you have. I remember back in the time when Rhapsody was the shit, and everybody was talking about it. And then, of course, Metallica had hit, and next thing you know, everybody was pissed off about it, and Rhapsody kind of lost its throne as the king there, and yeah, everybody was kind of wondering, well, where was the next fix to go to for music? And at the time, it kind of seemed as if maybe, uTorrents or torrent tracking sites were the places to go. But then lo and behold, we had got iTunes, which just opened up a whole new world of experiencing music, and it is just become so essential in our day-to-day lives that it's not even funny. I mean, can you just imagine not having your iTunes? I mean, Zune tried to do a little something similar, but it's not quite the same. I mean, just imagine not having iTunes. I mean, really, how would we go about our music today? We would probably still be pushing the hell out of CD players, Walkmans. True story. I was actually commuting to work the other day, and I was on the metro, and I actually saw somebody with a Walkman cassette player, and I just could not believe that those things were still made. I couldn't help but kind of take a chuckle inside my head and just be like, wow. But yeah, those things are still around. It's amazing, but hard to believe. It's been 10 years already. 2002 is when it all had went down there. Kicked off with 80 million users. Man, and going strong today. Just ridiculous. In other entertainment news for you guys, it looks as though Sharon Osbourne is said to be very devastated by her husband Ozzy Osbourne's relapse into drinking and taking drugs over the past year and a half. And she was quoted saying that everybody knows he's been struggling with this his entire life, and I never knew that he was using prescription drugs, Sharon Osbourne had said on The Talk earlier this week, as it was reported by U.S. Weekly. I knew he was drinking occasionally, but I didn't realize to what extent. It's our business. We're dealing with it. We're not getting divorced. However, am I happy? No. Am I upset? Yes, I am. I am very devastated right now. And the Black Sabbath singer had revealed last week that he had slipped back into drug and alcohol use, but said at the time that he had been sober for 44 days. Bear in mind, he is 64 years old right now, and he had apologized for his insane behavior and denied rumors that he and Sharon were getting a divorce. And, I hope he can get his demons together, because a lot of people, they think that it's kind of easy, but when you've been so reckless in your youth, and that's how hard you used to party and everything, it can be pretty damn difficult to try to wave those demons off. And it just goes to show you, at the age of 64, there's just some habits that just won't die. And, mad power to Sharon. I mean, she has been with him through thick and thin, and I really wouldn't be too surprised if this may be the straw that broke the camel's back, and may kind of put Sharon in a position right now where she kind of feels as though maybe she should move on and live the rest of her life trying to seek happiness. I mean, that's a long time to be with somebody. I mean, those two have been together for a couple of decades now. I wouldn't blame her one little bit if she wanted to take a break from him and maybe live in a separate house, maybe in another city or something of that nature. But I really do, on behalf of myself, Diamond K, everybody here at the RCWR show at Infinity One Productions, we definitely want to send a heartfelt, speedy recovery to Ozzy Osbourne, and just take it day by day, and hopefully have a good support system that can do what they do best when he's starting to think about dipping back into some old habits there. And I can only imagine how's he going to be able to hold up when it comes to going on the road for that new album. And basketball fans, you all might think this is kind of interesting, but the Rolling Stones, they have pushed back their 50 and counting tour opener in Los Angeles by a day because of the NBA playoff schedule. So they're now going to be starting their tour on May 3rd at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, and they had officially posted it on their Facebook page. Now, the Rolling Stones 50 and Counting Tour is set to visit 10 North American cities in May and June, and it follows a brief run of performances last fall in London, Brooklyn, and Newark, and New Jersey. And although the band kept the new dates well under wraps until an announcement earlier this month, the musicians have said that it was a foregone conclusion that the band would continue to perform. We knew kind of what it was bound to happen. I don't think I read that right, boys and girls. We kind of knew it was bound to happen, guitarist Keith Richards said. The band shows last year featured special guests including Eric Clapton, Bruce Springsteen, Lady Gaga. Though nothing has been announced for the next round of shows, the Stones haven't ruled it out either. Keith Richards had went on to say that I have a feeling that there's more openness about playing it the same way. I can't name names or make promises, but the area of the show is open. And there you have it for that, folks. And other than that, as far as entertainment news goes, we got some Lauryn Hill. I want to hit you with a 1-2 punch. Now, here's the first thing. I want to hit you with the bad news, and then I want to hit you guys with the good news. Now, the bad news. Lauryn Hill has 2 more weeks to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in back taxes after a federal judge had postponed a sentencing hearing. That was earlier this week. Now, she pled guilty last summer to tax evasion for not filing taxes, accounting for $1.8 million in income between 2005 and 2007. Former Fuji singer promised to make restitution of $554,000 before she was sentenced. The court heard yesterday that the singer has only paid about $50,000. So she has 2 more weeks to get the rest of the money together, or she's going to go to jail. Now, here's the good news. Lauryn Hill is working on new music. That's right. Now, after she had pretty much kept silent about her little court appearance in her tax evasion case this week, she posted a note on Tumblr late into the night. This was on the 25th this week, saying that she signed a new record deal and explained some of her side of the story in what she called was a 10-plus year battle for a long time that just been playing out behind closed doors. Hill has said that she's teamed with Sony to launch a new label on which to release new music. And yes, this is the direct quote, and yes, I am working on new music, she wrote. She described her new deal as one that better reflects my true contribution as an artist and gives me the control necessary to create a paradigm suitable for my needs. She continued on saying, I have been working towards this for a long time, not just because of my current legal situation, but because I am an artist. I love to create, and I need the proper platform to do so. So there you have it. Of course, the last album that had came out, solo studio album that was The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill in 1998. That was followed up by MTV Unplugged in 2002. And she had wrote that she's seen only a fraction of the earnings from what she claimed were worldwide sales of 50 million units. Only a completely complicated set of traps, manipulations, and inequitable business arrangements could put someone who has accomplished the things I have financially in need of anything, she had wrote. And bear in mind, folks, this isn't the first time that Hill has opened up online about her legal and business woes. Remember, last year she wrote that she felt her potential to work was in danger, as direct quote, I did whatever needed to be done in order to insulate my family from the climate of hostility false entitlement, manipulation, racial prejudice, sexism, ageism that I was surrounded by, she had wrote. Well, I just really hope that everything comes to full circle for her and she's able to get that $500,000 before 2 weeks is up. Otherwise, she is going to have to kiss that little deal that she has with Sony bye-bye as she goes to court. Got a little bit more news I want to share with y'all. Looks like lawyers for both sides of Michael Jackson, the late Michael Jackson, have accepted a jury of 6 men and 6 women in a wrongful death lawsuit that Michael Jackson's mother has filed against the concert promoter AEG Live, and this is according to the Associated Press. Attorneys selected the jury faster than expected, calling more than 100 candidates for the panel. Lawyers are now questioning potential alternate jurors for a trial that is expected to last several months. Now, Jackson's mother claims in a lawsuit filed on behalf of herself and her son's 3 children that AEG is responsible for the singer's death in 2009. Shortly before he was to begin a run of concerts the company was promoting in London. Their lawyers say damage could reach $40 billion, though jurors will determine what amount, if any, the family could receive. Now, some potential jurors in the pool were eliminated when they said the length of the trial would pose a hardship, while others were dismissed because they noted a bias against Jackson or because they had ties to AEG or the Jackson family. Jury candidates filled out questionnaires asking their views on Jackson and his family, the pop singer's death, and their feelings about multi-million-dollar verdicts. The case is expected to mainly focus on whether the singer played a role in his own death, which resulted from an overdose of a powerful anesthetic administered by Jackson's doctor, Conroy Murray. Remember, Murray was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in Jackson's death and was paid, and the Jackson family was paid $150,000 a month by AIG to Ten Jackson. Or correction, folks, he was paid by AEG $150,000 a month to tend to Jackson. By coincidence, Murray's lawyer yesterday filed an appeal of his criminal conviction. More on this as it continues to develop. And we're going to end it on a good note. You know how much of a hardcore fan I am of Led Zeppelin and Robert Plant. And it looks like he's going to be teaming up with longtime collaborator, whether or not they are actually a couple or not. We've been hearing the rumblings. Hey, I don't even want to bite into all that. But he has teamed up with Patty Griffin for the new nostalgic video, Ohio, that is just really a very intriguing and folk music type of video. It was directed and designed by Roy Taylor, and it's basically a backdrop that's entirely made out of cut paper and pulled from the history books. You should go check it out. It's on our Facebook page right now at Infinity One Productions. And it's a beautiful, nice song. And Robert Plant, he's actually loaned his vocals to 3 Patty Griffin tracks on her upcoming album that should be dropping in early May. Of course, we'll have a review for that on a future episode of the RCWR show as well. Speaking of Robert Plant, we're getting the latest word that this new album that he is supposed to be working on with the new Strange Sensation, or as he's pretty much now dubbing them, the Strange, the Sensational Space Shifters. I keep wanting to say the Strange Sensation. It's pretty much them. They're just under a new name, but that's why I keep calling them the Strange Sensation. But their new name is the Sensational Space Shifters, but call it for what it's worth. He has a new album. Right now it's stripped down and it's in trivial and rocking. This is according to producer Buddy Miller. He said the album is just about done. Whether or not it's going to be coming out later this year remains to be seen, as Robert Plant pretty much said he doesn't really have anything to do. But, call it for what it's worth. And for those of you that are a little bit curious, we're hearing the rumblings that Robert Plant, he had married Patty Griffin, so they're saying that this is alleged wife. Of course, he's been kind of keeping very silent about this. I don't know if maybe it's because of his age. I mean, he is 64 years old. There is like a 25 age difference, as Patty is much younger. I don't really know. I mean, honestly, if the guy's happy, more power to him. It's really none of our business, but if he wants to share, hey, more power to him. Speaking of Robert Plant, it looks like a North American tour date has been announced for him and the Sensational Space Shifters. Looks like it all begins on June 20th in Dallas, Texas. And it's going to be ending July 27th in Brooklyn, New York at Prospect Park. Hopefully more dates will be announced. I love seeing Robert Plant. I had the fortunate pleasure of seeing him in concert a couple of years back. It was one of my first experiences at a concert, and it was just freaking amazing. I saw him when he had reformed Band of Joy, and Patty Griffin was part of it, and very nice vocals. But yeah, hopefully they'll announce a couple of more dates, and if so, I definitely will be providing full coverage of that event. Hey, as always, we love kicking back and doing the weekend edition of the RCWR show for you guys. Really hope that you had enjoyed today's episode. And hey, I know we got the playoffs, and I know the game that we had saw earlier this morning with the Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs. It is just looking really grim for the Lakers right now. It looks like Spurs are going to be sweeping them bad boys, as Kobe Bryant is out on injury. Steve Nash looks like he's out on injury. We got so many people that's just banged up right now. And then you got the off season that's going to be coming. That just has a lot of folks wondering, is Dwight Howard going to stick around? What's going to happen to Paul Gasol? What's going to happen with Kobe Bryant? Do you go the amnesty route and try to free up at least about $80 million? What do you do? There's so many what-ifs that's going to be going down for that Lakers organization. A lot of tough decisions are going to have to be made. But I can tell you this much. The fact that we got Paul Gasol and we got Dwight Howard, I mean, two big freaking men that really are not doing it like Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley used to do it. Just feed me the ball. I'm in the paint. Feed me the ball. I'm going to get you your damn points. I just think it's freaking ridiculous that guys that are that freaking big just ain't really delivering, quite honestly. I'm a little shocked at that. But if you were disappointed by that game that you had saw earlier in the night, you were probably more happy to change channels and check out that Golden State Denver Nuggets game that had went down to the wire there, as Golden State, they got away with the victory to make it be 2-1 as Denver is now trailing. Oh, that was a damn good game, and I can't wait to see some more of the NBA action that's going to be coming up later this weekend. If you ask me who I'm looking at right now, it's still a little too early, but the way things are playing out right now, Spurs, they could go all the way. I know some people may not like to hear that, but they've been to the dance a couple of times. The one thing that just keeps playing out in my mind is the fact that Los Angeles Lakers, and then you have the Seattle Sonics, I believe it is. Both of those teams, they have won so many championships, and now it looks as though both teams are going to be swept in the first round of the NBA playoffs. That is just freaking ridiculous. And then you add insult to injury to the amount of points that the Lakers had lost by in that game late Friday night. If I'm not mistaken, they lost by about 30, 31 points. It's like an all-time high, a first ever in Laker franchise playoff history. So regular season and in playoff history. I mean, that is just freaking ridiculous. And then you can't help but wonder what's going to happen with Coach Mike D'Antoni. Is he going to get the axe, or are they going to give him a little bit of lenience and see what he can do next go season with a fresh cast? Who knows? But there are so many questions that's up in the air right now. But I'm looking at the Spurs. I think Coach Popovich and crew, I think they really can go all the way. I don't think there's anybody that can stop them. That's just my 2 cents on that. Feel free to sign off. Let me know what you think. That's going to do it. Hey, for all the latest and what you might have missed in wrestling-related news, check out our website over at InfinityOneProductions.com. While you're at it, check out all our previous episodes from what you might have missed this week. It's up in the archive section, up on blogtalkradio.com. Don't forget, you can also check out episodes on Stitcher for your respective portable devices. If you don't have that new Stitcher app, you are missing out, my good friends. I will see you this Tuesday night with the one and only Diamond K for the RCWR show. We'll cover the fallout from WWE Raw as we highlight key points, and we'll also talk about the very latest in wrestling-related news. For those of you that can't wait until Tuesday night, you'll be able to check out a special RCWR show live on YouTube immediately after the fallout of WWE Raw. I'll give you my overall takeaway of what I thought of Raw for that night. So make sure you check that out. It's our first inaugural episode. It is the new beginning of Infinity One Productions as we are looking to bring to you all on a more regular basis live original webcam series shows covering the very latest and the very best in wrestling coverage and beyond. So make sure you check that out. Nothing's really going to be too much different. It's still going to be the same as you love it, the way you get it. You'll just now be able to see me in the flesh and be able to interact with me. That's going to do it, folks. I hope you guys have a very safe and enjoyable weekend. Have some fun. Enjoy the playoffs. Enjoy some of this good weather while you're at it. I wish you all to be safe and be kind to one another. Have an awesome weekend, folks. I'll see you this week coming up. Everybody, take care.